This video I'm doing with the inside lights because it's cloudy outside, thank goodness, because we really need the rain. But it also means there's not so much light coming into the Aaron cave. So, we've got a bit of artificial light, no problem. And as you can see, I have been working away on my hat box slash suitcase, with the handle and all. And as I've mentioned, we don't, just because we're doing like a scrapbooking type thing, we don't have to put flowers all over everything. There's nothing wrong with flowers, mind you, it's just that some people seem to think like you must have some artificial flowers along with your scrapbooking papers, or somehow it's the artificial flower police will come and take you away. I love flowers, so I'm all for flowers, but I'm making this with a bit of a theme here, with a bit of a steampunk theme. So, my intrepid explorer may be needing to catch a ride on this dirigible or this one here, and she doesn't have time to mess around with a bunch of frou-frou, so we do, on the other hand, we have some flowers and flowered paper, and there are also some old labels I found online and tweaked a bit and printed out. Basically, they're just old hotel ads, basically, from like say 100 years ago, and I messed with them a little bit in an online photo filter app so that they look a bit faded and all, and I've also used, as I mentioned, some of my little ink pads, so I'm not trying to cover the whole thing, but it's okay to have bits peek out and the crown there and the Eiffel Tower there. But we also have a bigger Eiffel Tower here and other odds and ends, and this is a printout of an enlarged picture of a stamp from the Ukraine, and it's really cool. They have a lot of cool stamps in the Ukraine. This is just the one that happened to be cool and have an airship on it. So, of course, I printed that out. And we have Ada Lovelace again, but here she's pinketized, so, in a smaller version of the Ukrainian airship. So, in other words, even if it's steampunk, but it's a bit 1800s inspired, it doesn't necessarily have to be frou-frou. I mean, if you're an international spy or an airship mechanic, you're probably not going to be messing around a lot with your little, pretend flowers, or we have some leaves here and some a little bit of this, that, and the other, and maybe you save that for the fancy dress ball. So. And here we have, to go with Ada Lovelace, our early days computer programmer, we have Sophie Blanchard, French. She was an aerialist. She basically had a hot air balloon that she used to fly around with, and she would do all kinds of spectacular tricks, and unfortunately that led to her early demise because she would have pyrotechnics, and it's not good when your balloon catches on fire. That's a tragic moment in anyone's life, and sadly she fell to her death, so don't do that at home, boys and girls. But to honor her memory and the fact that she was in fact an intrepid balloonist, I have printed out a couple copies of her picture that I also think should go somewhere on the suitcase, hat box, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you don't have to put hats in it. Well, you could have your spy stuff in it if you're a spy, for example, or who knows what you might be up to. we don't want to cover up either. So down here maybe, or down there, that looks nice. So got a little, let's see. Finally, I found the boysenberry. It's a little bit pinker than the violet I was using in the last video. And I made Sophie Blanchard just a little bit pinker than she was in the actual picture, original picture. So, all kind of goes together. Let's go around the edges. And here on this side too. And of course, as usual, I use my zigzag scissors because, as my young friend said, everything looks cooler with the zigzag scissors. So, it can be here, and it's good she's, how should I say, yeah, we can turn her a little bit that way. I'm going to snip just a teensy-weensy bit more off the corner, so I have a little more ink, but this time I grab the bark, add a little reddish brown here, with the boysenberry, which is the purplish kind. There we go, because we do have some yellow here too. So, the general rule of thumb, if you go around the edge, it's good to pick one of the same colors that's in the picture so it doesn't end up looking really wacky. I mean, it's a general rule of thumb, so I mean, you don't have to follow it. I mean, maybe you like the contrast between having, you know, red in the picture and blue around the edge, and that's fine, but just saying, if you want to play it a little safe or you're in a hurry or something, that's a basic way to go. So, we have the pink lady with the pinky boysenberry, and she's got a bit of yellow, yellowish greenish color, so we have a bit of brown to go with it. And there she is. It's Madame Sophie Blanchard. And I'm sure my French pronunciation is dreadful because A, it's been a very long time since high school French class, and B, sadly, my French teacher was really scary. She was an American woman, but she wanted to be more French than the French. And she had a really, really evil Wicked Witch laugh, you know, like the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz. Going, so I would sit at home and do my French lessons, and it would make perfect sense, and then I'd go to school the next day, and Madame Piedmont and her wretched laugh would literally scare the lesson right out of my head. So I have her to blame for my deficiencies in French. It's especially embarrassing since on my maternal grandmother's side I am of French descent, so you would think I could do better, but it's not always the case. I have some more flowers here, but I don't feel like they're really needed right now. A little bit of a clock. Where should we put that? Ah, yes. On the edge. The convenient thing about turning these upside down is it's easy to put the lid like that, and then when you're done, you just pop the pad in. But the bad thing is, of course, then you can't see which one is which when you're looking for a new color, so you win some and you lose some. And here we go. Around and around. Get a good color in there. Yes. Upside down. Glue. Yeah, we got some glue. With my glue stick here. Doot, doot. And you can go right there. Like that. And I'm not trying to cover everything. I mean, it looks cool here with the little crown peeking out. And bits of the pink paint. But not the whole thing. Yeah, just like a little bit peeking out here and there. And there's this postcard. So it's not my goal to completely redo this. But if you had a box with one theme and you wanted to completely change it, like say I wanted to do Star Wars, that would be a bit different, and then I would cover the whole thing up, because Star Wars and Eiffel Tower don't really go together. But since this is about steampunk and having adventures and such, it's totally cool. I even put a bigger Eiffel Tower here, so no problem.